Hey, Curtis, welcome to the show.
Okay, great to be here. Thanks for
Yeah,
having me.
yeah, excited to have you on. So tell us who you are and what you do.
Yeah, so Curtis Hayes, I own a agency called Collideascope. We are an agency that services mainly B2B. We do a lot of lead gen services. We come alongside marketing managers, VPs or CMOs, and augment their teams with digital services, advertising, WordPress, design and development. We do a lot of systems integrations. We work with HubSpot, Salesforce, a lot of analytics, understanding attribution for leads, and that whole kind of RevOps
Very
space.
cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. And how'd you get started in your journey of being an agency owner?
Yeah. So I worked in corporate after college, had the opportunity after working with a couple smaller companies to end up with a Fortune company. I was in IT at the time, was supported sales and service for a large organization and met my wife. She worked there and ended up moving across the country and hooked up with two guys in this new location I was planted into. Was struggling to get a job, and these two guys had an agency that was doing web development as well as IT services. And I grew the IT services side, which was my background, and that was sort of the boom of the BlackBerry and Palm Pilot, and everybody was getting email on their phone. So we rode that wave and building an agency, what we would call managed services. And so I took that managed services model, a retainer model for IT services, and then built our arm of marketing services using that retainer model. And after about 10 years with that company, I decided to consult and do some things on my own. And within that, then I started the current firm, Collideascope. And really, that was about bringing other professionals that I had met throughout my network in to complement the services that I was providing, again, depending on the needs of clients. So if I had a client who needed Salesforce work, I've got a guy in Texas who's one of the best Salesforce guys in the country, right? So I could pull that person in. So now I've got this network of great professionals, and it's working out great. It's been a fun ride.
Yeah. What's been the biggest challenge over the past decade of running your own shop? Looking back.
I guess I've been lucky. I know finding people is tough, and especially retaining people. And thankfully that's worked out well for me. I mean, most of the people that have come on board have stayed on board. I don't have much turnover, and I know that's been tough for a lot of agencies. We get pulled in a lot of times. Agencies will ask us to help augment their teams, especially when they have turnover. We just come in and fill a spot till they can fill that position again. I think marketing's been tough for me. You spend so much time marketing for your customers that marketing and selling your own agency, especially when you're a consultant as the agency owner, you have domain knowledge that your clients pay for. And so for you to put time in your business to sell or to market or do different types of things, that's a big challenge.
Have you seen over the years, or has this happened to you where you'll you'll lose a couple clients and then you'll be like, crap, I need to really put my head down. And then you sell and you do some marketing, which brings in business, and then you get too much. And then you kind of take your foot, and then it's the constant porpoise up and down.
Yeah, I laugh because it's I would say for me, it's not so much up and down. I suppose the last couple years, it's been a real slow, steady, just slight upwards trend. And so I've been growing year over year. I don't think I've had a year where I've gone down,
Yeah.
but it does seem like every time I lose a client, that's right when I was gaining another client, and I was like, okay, I'm not able to get ahead here because, I gained a new one, but I just lost another one. Or sometimes we don't lose a client; they just pull back services.
Yeah.
They say, "Oh, hey, we resolved that project. That 6 month retainer has ended, and we're not going to renew it." Or they're having revenue issues, and so they pull back on marketing. And so that has been tough to scale and truly grow. Is definitely been a challenge.
Does that ever make you want to be like just throw in the towel sometimes? I know I get to that point, and I've been to that point of be like, man, I can't take this up and down. Like, I feel like I'm gaining a lot of momentum, and then you'll lose a major client, and then you'll be like, screw it, why am I doing this? And then you get two more, and you're like, okay, I'm back. And then, it's just the up and down is just really tough. We all go through it. Like,
Yeah, we do.
how do you personally kind of fix your mind to put it in the right place?
Um, balance, I think, is important, but it's different for everybody, right? So I think my balance comes in family and some of the things that I enjoy doing, which is fishing and boating and just, getting outdoors to recharge and do those types of things. Um, I do enjoy my work. I think first and foremost, if you're going to be an agency owner and you're going to be in this, you got to love doing it.
Yeah.
And because I'm actively consulting and helping clients, I feel like that's an opportunity to just recharge, to maybe have a win with a client that gets you excited. Um, so for me, I'm not always working on the back end of the business. Maybe some agencies owners are always on the back end and not working with clients. But when I'm working with clients, I feel like that does get me excited. It makes me want to get up in the morning, and I'm a problem solver. At the end of the day, that's what made me successful in IT. As marketing has become more technical, that's allowed me to excel in that area. And so if I can solve problems every day, that gets me excited.
Yeah, well, I think we all can agree. We all like to be problem solvers for other people, but a lot of times when it comes to our problems, we kind of throw our hands up in the air and be like, "Man, I've tried 1,000 things." And I always tell everybody, I'm like, and I tell myself this, be like, "Well, try 1,001 things. The thousand
Right.
and one things may be that the thing that gets us, over the hump." I always find that when I get to a point where I need to make a change, I need to go, what is the plan? What is the strategy that gives me a little bit of confidence going forward? And then ask myself, am I constantly doing the same thing over and over again? Like if I'm building my business on referrals constantly, and I'm wondering why I lose two and then bring on two, lose two, bring on another two. And it's just very steady growth. I'm like, well, what have I done different? What have I invested back in it, and just really kind of look at it going, everything can be figured out. And then I try not to focus on the things I can't control. I can't control if clients are going to pull back, but I
Right.
can control if I'm going to build my pipeline, and I can control if I'm going to market in a certain way to just constantly get in front of the right people to figure that out. And, I just do that. And it gives me more of that sanity, I think, that a lot of us, I know sometimes I lack the sanity a lot of times, and I'll just freak out. God
Yeah.
damn it! Like you know, like really, we had so much momentum, and it just felt like we got our mast on the boat cut.
Right. Well, yeah, and you can't keep that momentum forever. I think there's opportunities maybe to stop, recharge, reevaluate. Um, seasons are important, I think. So we just started a podcast this last year. The lesson I learned from that podcast, which essentially was just content marketing for us, right? So the blogging wasn't really working out, the email newsletters. I mean, there's just very little we were getting from some of that marketing. And so we said, we wanted to do case studies. We wanted customers to tell stories. They had good stories to tell. We've got other professionals who have good advice and those types of things. So let's just document this in a different way. So one of the individuals who I work with, he's managing like 12 other podcasts right now. He said, I've got an idea for a podcast. Let's start one up. So we did. The first 6 months was really slow, but we hit a stride where I was like, this actually feels pretty comfortable. We like the tools that we ended up landing on, we were using, made it easy to record and edit the videos, do the audio, all of that. So I said, what if we just started doing this once a week? And let's record 2 episodes a week and launch 1 episode a week so we can get a little ahead if we fall behind. And once we got into a rhythm and we had a routine and we held each other accountable to that, it made it so much easier. And then we started to see sort of the fruit from the labor, right? We saw a few new leads, a few new opportunities come from the podcast. But I think more than anything, it was helping educate prospects that were in the pipeline because they were getting to know us, they were getting to understand us, they were getting in our heads by listening to the podcast, that it was easier to move them down our pipeline because it was an opportunity, again, for them to understand how we approach what we do and then feel more comfortable in doing business with us.
Yeah.
So it's been great, but now we need to take a break. We're gonna have just about wrapped up 40 episodes. So that'll be end of
Why are you guys
August.
taking a break?
I want to recharge and just reevaluate. I think there's some tweaks I want to make to the branding. So I just kind of put an end to season one. I want to tweak the branding of it a little bit. I want to take a little pause just so I can recharge myself. And then we're going to kick it back up. So maybe 2 months is all. I want to plan out my guest list. I've got a friend who's open to producing and helping me get guests and do some things. So that's all. I think it's just like golf. Like a lot of people, if you're in a sunny area, you can play all year round. But I know people here in Michigan, they get to September and they're kind of ready to be done. It's been a good season, but I've got no problems hanging up the clubs. But come next spring and even before spring, I'm itching to get those clubs back out to hit the golf course. I'm the same way with the boat, right? After a season on the boat, I'm kind of done doing all the work and all of that. But come back, April, it's like, when's the next sunny day? Because I'm going to be ready to get that thing back out again.
I gotcha. I understand that. In 10 years, we're still in our first season.
Yeah. It's like Joe Rogan, right? What does he have? Like 1,600 episodes?
Yeah, we're close to 800 now,
Yeah.
and we haven't missed a week. One of the things that
That's
we
impressive.
do is we get so far ahead of our episodes. So we actually went to 2 shows a week just because when we would record an episode, we always put great guests on when we find them. We don't just
Hmm.
try to say, "Hey, can you come on this week?" We have podcasts booked out 4 months out. And then when we do the recording, usually it's about 3 to 4 month lag from that. But it used to be almost a year.
Hmm.
And we used to do that so I could take off from interviewing
Right.
people to recharge. I haven't done that in a couple of years. We've just been cranking them out. It's just been a lot of fun. But one thing that you may want to look at, and it's for the other people looking at, I
Right.
never want you to lose momentum with your listeners.
Right.
And in the very beginning, no one's going to listen to your show. Just remember that.
Yeah.
But what I find a lot of times is when people are made aware of the Smart Agency Masterclass, they'll listen to one show and be like, "Man, I kind of like that conversation, and I like that guest. Let me go listen to another one." And then the next thing you know, they've listened to all of them. Like you don't know how many. Like I get tons of emails and they'll be like, "I've listened to all your shows." I'm like, "Oh my god, what? How?" There, there's a lot of shows out there,
Right. Right.
but they binge it when they're doing other things. So I would hate for anybody to lose momentum. If someone goes and be like, "Oh, they haven't updated, the show in 2 months," and they'll be
Right.
like, "Oh, I guess it's dead like every other show,"
Yeah.
and you lose it. So, but you can always batch them. That's what we do.
Yep. Yep. No, batching is what we've been doing. And then I understand your point. One of the things I'm going to do during that downtime is kind of mix some pieces together or do some shorts where we've got the 30-minute episodes and put out kind of trimmed 6-minute, 8-minute clips on the channels. Not the podcast itself, but at least on YouTube and on social and all of that. So, but I'll talk to my partner about this, see,
Yeah,
if he wants to go a bit longer.
I would. Once you get some momentum, it's hard to get it back.
Right. Right.
Uh, I'm constantly talking to my team. Like once we get a little momentum on something, they're like, "Well, we can ease back." Like, no, there's no easing back.
Right.
It's full force or redirect. And like if we're not getting what we want and we don't enjoy it, then we'll make the change. But a podcast can be one of your best things to build that pipeline.
Yep.
Um, to help you create the content, talk to, the most amazing people. Um, and I would encourage all of you too to make sure you guys don't get in that rut where you're constantly doing the same thing over and over again. Regardless, whatever it is, especially if you're expecting different results.
Yep.
Like if an agency is growing at a very slow pace, but they're constantly growing, great. Why wouldn't you want to grow faster? And and let me ask you this: what do you think the answer of why people don't want to grow faster?
Usually fear. I
Fear
mean,
from
fear
what?
of failing, disappointing a client that comes through, not being able to do it all, having too much on your plate.
Yeah, that I hear that all the time. It's like, well, I don't want if I have to hire more people, I already manage 20 people
Right.
and I'm fully maxed out. And if I double in size, that means I have to get 40 people and there's no capacity. I don't have any freedom. And that's why I got into this. But what people don't realize is the bigger, like the 20 people person, or it's kind of a no man's land because they're still all reporting to you.
Right.
And so it is a lot of work,
Yeah, it is.
but they haven't figured out how to go from an owner to a CEO and put in the right people to figure out the how, because the owner is still figuring out, how do I get more clients? How do I do my marketing? How do I, do this versus the two who's. Who do I need to hire to figure this problem out? And who do I need to become in order to take the agency to the next level? And when I was able to do that in the past business, even this business, like we started growing fast and I had way more free time. Like you'd be like, you're a lot bigger, but you have more free time. Yeah. Because I figured out those two things.
Right. So, how do you figure out, I guess, what's your advice? Because the things that concerned me when I was running the previous agency, which was at about 22, was
Yeah.
the significant investment in those who's, if they
Yeah.
were two or, however many of those were, they weren't low paid people. And it was very difficult to train and bring up people who were already in the business, put those in those
Yeah.
positions. So, from a cash flow and revenue perspective, because that hire, if it's not a good hire,
Yes.
could be pretty detrimental to the
Yeah.
agency.
So I love that you asked this question. It's one of my favorite. And when people ask this question, it's usually the wrong question to ask, or they're valuing the wrong thing,
Hmm.
right? Because of the cash flow, the profit. But your most important asset you ever own, we all own and we all get the same amount, is time. So if you started looking at going, this is a great exercise for people to do. Audit the past 2 weeks. Take a screenshot of your past calendar and document everything that you've done, and then highlight all the stuff that gave you energy that you love doing in green, and then highlight all the stuff that sucked the life out of you that you never want to do ever again in red. And then what you'll find is, and then put a value on each of them. I've never told anybody to do this, but like once you do that, like the reds, go
Hmm.
these $10 tasks or these $100 tasks or these $1,000 tasks. And what you'll find is you're doing so many of the low items first. Then what I would do is I would first look at getting those things off my plate. And then once I get the low items off, I'd look at hiring one of the who's. You don't need to, so many people think I need to hire all these who's, and these who's need to be a COO. No, no, no. You don't need to hire, like, you're a 20-person operation. You don't need a COO yet. You need a director of operations. They're a lot lower. And then what people are very afraid of is this. They go, wow, I have to pay this person 150,000 or 200,000. What if I make the wrong decision? You'll know if they're the right fit within a month. If you look back at all the bad hires you've ever had, did you know within 30 days?
I did. My mistake was I kept them on too long
Yes. Yeah, I can
after the
fix it.
30
Yeah, I can
days.
fix that. Right.
Yeah.
Right. No. Yeah. Like, so the worst it's going to cost you if you look at it, is what, $12,000 to make a bad hire. But then if you get better at your hiring process and you're more honest with them, especially with an operation, like you're good at operations, so you don't need to hire an operations person yet, right? Like I
Right.
would hire a salesperson, like someone to lead sales. Now those are really tough. But if you go to them and say, here's where we're at. I'm horrible at sales. I'm an ops person, so I have no idea. But do you understand the concept of sales and explain that to me? And then you break down and say, here are the success stories we've had in the past. And you start sharing one story at a time with them and start sharing the methodology with them. Then they can go, okay, cool, I can build on this. And you find someone that understands sales that can build on something that's not there,
Right.
and don't hire someone so far up. Like one of my biggest mistakes is I hired at the first agency. I remember one of our major competitors that I aspired to be like when I first started was a really big agency. Hired their salesperson because I was like, oh, we can become them. Well, that person, man, had so much resources at his disposal. It was horrible. Like he almost took the agency down. And I was like, I hired him for a month. I knew he wasn't going to work out, but I was like, well, we've already invested this. Might as well invest another month, another month. 7 months went by. I was like, I wasted so much time and money. So just
Yeah.
little by little, getting rid of the stuff you don't like. And then once you, my God, it is so freeing when you like, when I brought on Darby to, run the coaching side and building that, and Stacy and hopefully now on the marketing side, like the amount of freedom that you get back is unbelievable. And then you're like, why would I ever sell? Because I guarantee most people listening, they'll get to a point where they have a problem. Like they'll hit a ceiling, be like, whatever it is, like getting of the 7-figure mark, 8-figure mark, nine, whatever it is. They hit a ceiling and then they go, well, I like solving problems, but I can't solve my problem, so I might as well sell. But if they solve that one little thing, which will lead to other problems, I promise you,
Yeah.
but then, it's just, it's a constant battle. But it's fun.
It,
That's why we do it.
it is fun. Yep.
And you got to laugh at the mistakes, laugh at the stupid people that you hired, stupid clients you brought on. Like that's the enjoyment that I have looking back or looking at the success that we had for clients. But most of it, I laugh at just the craziness that happens within the business.
I mean, and a lot's changed in the last, 4 or 5 years. I think the
All the time.
agencies sort of model that, we were all in the office. Now we're all, or a lot of us are remote, which brings its own challenges to managing. But I think there's a lot of benefits to it as well. I remember how rigid I was with my teams about not letting them work outside of the office, how close minded that was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
That I thought they wouldn't be productive, especially for a creative who's like, no, I just need to get out of this noise, go to a coffee shop, free my mind so I can be creative. And I was closed minded to that. So, yeah, it changes and we mature, and it's interesting.
Yeah. I would take my designers to like a bookstore to get out of the office. And we would just go through magazines, looking at advertising and looking for inspiration there and that kind of stuff just to get out of the office. And
Right.
when we had bookstores, and, um, I think we still Barnes and
There's a
Noble's
few
still around,
around.
right?
I love the local bookstore. You can find hopefully some good local ones that.
Yeah, yeah. So, but well, awesome. Well, this has been a lot of fun, Curtis. Is there anything I didn't ask you that you think would benefit the listeners listening in?
No, I mean, keep at it. Uh, you know, it's this is a rapidly evolving marketplace right now, especially with AI and how fast. I think we don't even realize how fast technology is changing right in front of our eyes right now. And so, just be ready, adapt. I don't think that means we're losing our jobs. I think this technology is going to help us in a lot of ways,
Most
but
definitely.
you just got to be paying attention to it. If you're ignoring what's happening in the technology space right now, you're going to be behind
Yeah.
real quick.
Exactly. Well, this has been a lot of fun. Thanks for coming on the show. And then for everyone listening, we created a new page on agencymastery360.com, just insights. We have a page for the podcast to list all the episodes there, but outside of the videos that we're constantly doing to give you advice from how to generate more referrals or generate leads or scale or who's the who, and a lot of those videos, if you go to our insights, just in our navigation, just as insights, and we already started putting, I think there's maybe 10 different videos out there for you that will help grow your agency free, ungated. Make sure you go there now. Go to agencymastery360.com, click on insights, and check it out. Let us know what you think about it. And until next time, have a swank day. I hope you enjoyed this content. If you want more content like this, make sure you click on the link on the screen or check out your most popular podcast platform where the full episode is there. And until next time, have a swank day. What are you doing? Go check it out.